Welcome to Celmates. I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips.
And this is Celmates. It's a podcast where we talk about, compare, contrast, and generally throw like a Venn diagram over two or more different movies that are usually Disney.
But not always.
Usually musicals.
But not always.
And usually good.
But not always.
And today's
but
episode...
they are always animated movies.
Did I not say that?
You did not.
Well,
but we've said it now.
Are. And today's episode is a little bit different than our usual. Kate, can I say something to you real quick?
Sure.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
This is our anniversary episode. Our first episode came out a year-ish ago today. Yeah. We've done, this will be 27.
Yeah, that's correct.
We've done a bunch of episodes, had a lot of fun along the way.
And that surprisingly works with every other week, even though that's not how we did it for the first several months.
That's correct.
We took enough extra weeks off to offset our weekly
our schedule
outset.
Has been good.
Consistent in quotes.
Consistent-ish.
Consistent on average.
But thank you for listening to us every 2 weeks or so. We really appreciate it. We love hearing from everybody. We've had some fun polls recently on our Facebook. We've had some good communication, some good suggestions. So keep those all coming.
So, Dick, before I share anything else about what we're doing today, I want to know what I am drinking.
Oh, boy, don't you?
Because I usually know by this point, and I do not.
So, okay, I'm going to give you really obtuse hints.
Yeah.
All right. So I told you already that this drink was made in 2007. It was named after something else that came out in 2007. Let's see. The name of this drink, you would say, is missing, maybe even missing in action. You could even say it's like, MIA.
Missing in action.
MIA.
Mia? Is it missing the correct colors that make it drinkable?
No.
Because it's hot orange right now.
Well, there's a... Man, I
MIA.
thought you'd get...
No, I don't know.
You don't know MIA?
Like Mia?
Yeah.
Like the singer?
Yeah, I guess.
Wait.
I call her MIA, but I don't know if her name's Mia.
But not Maya.
MIA.
I don't know what you're talking about besides the war.
There's a song from 2007 that this drink is named after, and that song is Paper Planes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that title, maybe.
Well, anyway, this drink is called the Paper Plane. Now, why is that appropriate for our anniversary?
I have no idea.
Well, first, your anniversary gift is paper.
Oh.
So there you go.
That was a lot.
Thank you. The other options were to get some paper cups and paper straws and drink out of those.
Aw.
Or find a champagne drink. And you hate champagne.
I hate champagne.
So I got this Aperol Spritz-based drink, Aperol-based drink, which you hate also.
I also hate Aperol. So this is, but at least it's mixed with other things.
Yeah, so it's Aperol, Campari, lemon juice, and bourbon.
I do like bourbon.
You do like bourbon,
and
you like
juice.
Lemon juice.
Yeah. All right. Can we reach each other to clink?
Hold on.
I don't know. We'll see.
Hold on. Just pass me your glass. I'll clink in front of the mic.
Worth it.
Worth it. All right. Kate's going to drink this live.
Clearly aren't real glasses. Okay.
Yeah.
It tastes like tolerable soap.
Yeah, it's
I can taste the bourbon. That's good. This is not on you.
No.
This is just Aperol tastes like soap to me.
I think I am tasting more of the Campari than anything.
Maybe it's Campari too, but also the Aperol spritzes all over Europe. But we had them, and like I nearly threw mine on the ground. Did you end up finishing mine?
Yeah.
You liked them.
I liked it. I loved the one I had that my friend Jason made for me. he made a good Aperol spritz. I think we had them at a place that made a bad one.
Yeah.
It was like mainly Aperol and not enough spritz.
Yeah, but also spritz, I don't care. Like, it's champagne, right? With it? I don't know. The point is, this is better. Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So, if you are a regular listener and or you're listening in order.
Or if you're just like kind of a weirdo listener, that's cool too.
This is kind of a part 2 episode. Or you might say a 1.5.
Wait, I wouldn't say that.
Celmates Enchanted Christmas.
1.5.
1.5. In last episode, we celebrated our anniversary by talking about our favorite Disney movies.
Wait, can I do a thing?
Sure.
Last episode on Celmates. Okay, that's it.
We talked about our 2 favorite Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King.
That's true.
We will continue talking about them today because even with a rule about not talking about any content outside of the original animated, like 2D animated movies, we still went 2 hours 45. Like, we went a Hamilton.
You may have noticed that's a very long episode. So cheers to you if you got through it. If not, we understand.
Yeah,
that's a lot of that's maybe a couple of commutes depending on how far you're driving.
Yeah,
or riding or whatever.
Whatever it is.
So thank you for getting through it, and thank you for sticking with us. If you did, we hope you enjoyed it. But we are not talking about the movies themselves today.
2 Hamiltons more.
No, we're not. We're also not doing a 2.5-hour episode today.
Everything else that has to do with these 2 titles.
There's a whole lot of stuff around Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and we think that's worth talking about. But we didn't want to stop talking about the movies themselves.
No, because it would have been like 3 Hamiltons long.
Yeah. So,
but again, we're gonna try to streamline.
Yep.
All right.
So, Kate, what's first on the docket?
First on the docket. So, and then after we do this, we're just going to do a little bit of anniversary celebrating and talking about our last.
We've got some fun stuff.
Yeah.
I've got like a couple of basic statistics to talk about. You know, our like most popular episodes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then just like what we've learned and what we look forward to.
Yeah.
We'll give you a little teaser of what's coming up.
So if this is your first episode, great. You're going to learn the greatest hits. And if it's not, then you might recognize something you've already heard.
Yeah.
So, Dick, I'd like to start out today.
Yeah, you will.
With a question. And I think it's last episode we entitled Faves because they're a favorite movie. So I want to ask a question that we didn't get to in last episode. And that question is, why is this your favorite movie? Whoops.
Well, I think the lions are cute. Wait. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite.
In 2 hours and 45 minutes, we never... Like, we talked about a lot of positive attributes, but
we never
not
specifically said this
why
is my
they're
favorite
our
movie
favorites.
Because, yeah.
So, Dick...
If we were writing a theme paper for school, we would have gotten a B.
Should we do a cookie timer on this? Because we don't have an opportunity to do one otherwise.
No.
1 minute cookie timer?
I need... Give me 2.
All right.
I'm going to tell you why Beauty and the Beast is my favorite movie in 2 minutes.
All right.
You're
not. You're going to do something clever here.
I'm not.
All right.
Instead of summarizing the movie, I'm going to tell you why it's my favorite movie.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
Ready? Go.
Okay. Beauty and the Beast, when you look at it from the very broad strokes, is a tale about. From the outside, it looks like it's a tale about a girl who's meeting a beast, and then he turns out to be a prince. But what it really is, to me, is a story about a beast who has made a mistake in his past and finds redemption by not only trying to change, and less trying to change, and more allowing himself to be changed by someone he cares about and who cares about him. And I think that's a really powerful message. I really love that like, hey, this guy messed up and he's worked on it a little bit at least. You know, he's done something to improve himself. I think that's something that most people can identify with, because we've all messed up at some point in our lives. We all have things that we're like, oh man, I wish I hadn't done that and gotten turned into a beast living in a castle who's got a rose under glass that when he turns 21 he'll stay a beast forever. Like, we can all identify with that. Where's my time? And great. So the other thing that I think is cool about Beauty and the Beast is I think it's the best execution in the Renaissance of a classic Disney like arc. The Lion King, I think, has a beautiful message. Beauty and the Beast ends happily ever after. You've got like the girl and the guy end up together. They have the big chorus sings at the end, and it feels like Snow White, but in the 90s. But not in the 90s, like it just more updated.
New. Cookies are done. Cookies are done.
What do you think? 2 minutes? Pretty good.
That was good.
Thank you.
I didn't know if you were going to do a sneak attack and just like give a one sentence and then drop the mic.
Nope.
But all right. So I've got the cookie timer ready.
Yeah, go for it. Kate,
ask me a question, Dick.
Kate, what?
Oh, no.
Kate.
Dick.
I'm waiting for you to take a drink so I can,
I
can yell as soon as you take a drink. No, I'll let you finish. All right, Kate, why is Lion King your favorite movie?
And start. Well, I love The Lion King because just as, you have It's Never Too Late to Change in Beauty and the Beast, I think the kind of one sentence screenshot or snapshot of The Lion King is the greatest challenges we face are within ourselves. I have always loved this movie. It is visually stunning. The colors are vibrant. The music is fantastic. I think it's got humor that entertains and is not like overdone. It always serves the story. But more importantly than that, it is this internal struggle that Simba has that drives the movie. I think that is unique for an animated movie, unique for a children's movie. When my fifth graders did this musical at school, we did a summary of the plot, and we talked about conflict and what's the main conflict of the story. These 11-year-olds, not a single one of them mentioned Scar for the first 10 minutes of the conversation. They're like, oh, the conflict of the story is Simba needs to be king and he doesn't want to do it. And it blew me away because I'm not sure I would have described it that way when I was a kid, but that's exactly it. It's this hill behind a hill that I love in movies where, yes, there's this surface tension of Scar is king and Simba needs to claim the throne, but it's really about Simba's response to trauma and his figuring out where he fits in his family and where he fits in his community. And I think it resonates on so many levels, right? You can enjoy the good versus evil thing, but this is the heart of the movie and everything comes back to it. And I think it's so well executed and it still makes me cry as an adult. And yeah, the character actually changes from beginning to end, like Beast, where you see this immature Simba at the beginning and then he's ruling a community by the end.
Nice.
Beautiful.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, so there you go.
The faves.
In case you were wondering, that's why.
So we also, Dick, last episode, 245. Anything that you wanted to add that you think we forgot on the two original movies? Because you take a listen when we edit. I usually take a listen sometime that week. You don't think so? All right.
I don't know. I
got
know,
one.
I know you were kind of making a little list in your head of things you wanted to talk about.
I was, and then I never wrote it down.
I guess okay, here's what I got. And I put out a poll for this on Facebook. Belle, kind of a jerk. I just want to get that out there. She lives with this guy against her will for a while.
Yeah, is kidnapped by.
But by the end, they have a beautiful dance and she falls in love with him. There's something there that wasn't there before. And then she never really learns his name. At the end, when she's trying to prove that the beast exists, she says to that magic mirror thing, show me the beast.
That's his name.
And it's girl, learn your boyfriend's name. Like
maybe he's forgotten too. I don't know. But like no one refers to anyone. He never refers to her by name.
no, I don't think so.
I don't.
feel
I'd
like,
have to go back.
I feel like there might be like towards the end during like the Gaston fight,
Maybe.
or something. But she
like-
always calls him Beast.
But the objects don't. They call her the girl.
They call her the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know who knows everybody's name?
Who?
Gaston. He knows
Oh.
Belle's name. He knows the Beast's name, but he's been introduced to him as the Beast, right?
But yeah,
He
Crazy
knows-
Old Maurice.
Yeah, he knows Belle's dad's name.
LeFou, I'm afraid I've been thinking.
I don't know
he
how
knows
long-
everyone's name.
I don't know how long we were dating before I knew your dad's name. Like, Gaston's an asshole.
I mean, you didn't grow up in the town with both of us. But
Understood. But I'm just saying. Gaston's an asshole.
Yeah.
But at least he has the decency to learn people's names.
yeah, Belle knows like Gaston's name. I assume she knows her father's name, but she
Yeah.
doesn't have a reason to go. But like, she never refers to the objects by name.
She's like, oh, the bookkeeper or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
she might
learn a name,
She
Belle.
might know Chip's name when he is a stowaway. But yeah, no one knows each other's names in this movie.
Yeah. Except
For Gaston.
Gaston, who, like, again, asshole.
Well,
at least one
but
redeeming
isn't it?
trait.
It's like part of that book, like how to influence people and win friendship. You know, like
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's
it's like how a sociopath
Kate.
does this thing. They learn a lot of names and
I think we're stretching.
anyway.
I don't remember names. That doesn't mean I'm not a sociopath. You remember names very well. That doesn't mean you are a sociopath. Yeah, well, but
That is
I'm
a good. That is a good
I
point.
think it is worth mentioning that Gaston has at least one good quality.
Yes,
There you go.
he's good with names.
All right, what do you got, Kate?
So I forgot to mention in speaking about the music that and if you are a social media follower of us, particularly on Facebook, because on Twitter I think it's just the two of us and like
follow
3
us.
bots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you follow us on Facebook, or you're a Twitter bot, you saw us post this in the last week. This story. So the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, the prologue with the stained glass. Boom. My friends and I in college played a game one day where I'm sure we had a bunch of essays and projects to do. But we played a game where for like a half hour straight, we would play the first 30 seconds of Beauty and the Beast prologue and the song, the piece Aquarium from Carnival of the Animals.
Tell me about what that is.
So, Saint-Saëns or Saint-Saëns, I can never remember which one is
Saint.
first. Yeah. Saint Sans, right? The Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
French composer, Carnival of the Animals is a suite, an orchestral suite. Different animals have movements. There's the aquarium, there's the elephant, there's the lion.
So the particular one we're talking about is Aquarium.
Is aquarium that goes.
You've probably heard it. If you don't know it already, you've probably heard it in movie trailers. I think like I would guess like Edward Scissorhands, stuff like that, probably had it in like early trailers.
Yeah.
You've heard the song before, and if
Yeah.
you haven't heard it, listen to it, and you'll be like, "Oh,
Wait, is that Beauty and the Beast?
right." So the game.
So we
you
played this game. It gets ruined by the time By the time David Ogden Stiers comes in with the narration, you're like,
Everything
"Oh,
does.
that's not. He's not speaking about a fish." So we played this game like a decade ago, and in the last couple years, I saw this Alan Menken interview where he told the story of they had the song Aquarium in as just a musical placeholder
just a
during the
temp
scene
track.
for like the storyboards and the animatics. And Jeffrey Katzenberg, being who he is, says, "Great, I love it. Let's keep it." And then they said, "No, we can write new music." He's like, "Nah, why do the work? Just keep Aquarium." And the way Alan Menken reacts to it in the story is, "No!" So he basically has to write, he's cornered into writing an aquarium sound-alike that becomes the main theme for the Beast.
And not for nothing, it's great.
It's great.
And the way it flows into Belle, so good.
And the da-da-da, da-da-da comes in with that too, which maybe he had written otherwise and just
But yeah.
cut and pasted. But and it's like, oh, that's why they sound almost identical. Because it was to fool Jeffrey Katzenberg into thinking that they were still using Carnival of the Animals.
Funny story.
Oh, I love it so much.
Funny story related to that. If you look at like most major movies, especially like the Marvel movies, and you see them with their temp tracks and with their actual orchestration, it's usually really similar because they put the temp track in like while they're editing, and then the director just gets married to it, and so they're like,
there you go.
Just like with
and the
Katzenberg
beats have to
here,
be this, yeah.
It's like, well, can you write this? Can you write this song basically here, but change some stuff up so it's not the exact same song? Thank you.
Have I ever told you the story about how I did a choir concert of trailer music?
No.
Well, we did. It's a legendary story in our choir, and it happened like 9 years ago. We got hired like as a gig. We do our own concerts, but we got hired for this trailer music live.
That sounds awesome.
Well, it sounds awesome. And it was going to have like, like a projector screen and like the click tracks, like the guy who wrote everything served as the conductor for the concert. So it has like the Spider-Man trailer and there were a couple others, like pretty big movies. Like Spider-Man was the most famous, but we get this music and it is just gibberish, both in like the voice leading, like sopranos are like way up, like an octave above where we can comfortably sing. And then, like, the voice leading is weird, so it's, like, intervals that you could play on a violin, but not with a voice.
Yeah.
And then the text, if we ever had to sing anything that wasn't, like, ooh, was just, gibberish Latin, right?
Cool.
So it's just syllables.
Lorem ipsum.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It is syllables, and we're singing that, like, we're practicing it. We're like, what is this? Because for trailers, they just have to have something that sounds kind of mood close.
Yeah.
But they're like not getting paid enough / maybe aren't getting rights enough to like use actual Latin. Like someone would have to be a lyricist at that
why
point.
write an actual thing if it's just going to be shown for 30 seconds?
Right. So it just has to kind of sound cool.
Wow.
Anyway, it was an incredible disaster because the projector ended up like breaking during trailer music live. So like, what is the point? And so we had to like restart.
The conductor's yelling like, "This one's from Spider-Man. Imagine that Spider-Man is on the screen."
It was worse. We would like start multiple times to try to get the equipment to work. And then at the end, we thought we were ending and he yelled out, "One more time," without telling anyone that we were going to do a repeat. And it was
amazing.
A hot mess.
Wow.
One of the best experiences of my life.
Kate, that is one of the things I really enjoy about this podcast is it brings out stories I have never heard. That's great.
It was great.
Nice. Yeah. All right, Kate. What else? Is there anything else in this?
Anyway,
in Beauty and the Beast or Lion King that we need to talk about?
I think we've covered the original movies. Yes. I think that I guess Hamilton is 3 hours, so this is a full Hamilton closed on it.
Okay.
So we'll open a new, maybe like next to normal. It's like an hour 45 or 2.
Cool.
There are a lot of things. Okay, so
Next to Normal is a musical that runs less than the musical Hamilton. This is how
they know.
Oh, they know.
They know.
Okay. I like to put things in terms of Star Wars.
So things we stopped ourselves from talking about last week. Broadway. We stopped ourselves from talking about live actions. We stopped ourselves from talking about theme park stuff.
Yep.
And there's even more beyond that.
Yeah. There's a mountain beyond the mountain.
A hill behind a hill.
Yeah. All right,
he lives inside of him.
All right, what do we start now?
Let's start with the closest to the original movie.
Okay.
Both of these received a Broadway production.
That's true.
Beauty and the Beast in 1994. Coincidentally, the same year Lion King came out.
Still running. No, Beauty and the Beast is not still running. Sorry, you said Lion King and my brain got
Lion King,
mushed.
1998, still running.
Still running.
I think it's only behind Phantom for longest running. Or Chicago. Yeah.
Sorry. That shows. Hey,
what about longest running and good?
Just a quick tip. If you're coming to New York, don't see Chicago.
Or like, unless you have like a time machine.
No. Like, don't.
I think the show is is
I think the movie
fine.
is great.
The show is fine. It's just people have been there for like literally 30 years.
Don't see Chicago.
They're just constantly phoning it in.
Chicago.
Anyway, Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. So this is like a 3 or 4 year turnaround for both.
Yeah.
Both giant successes for Disney. And they create together basically Disney theatrical productions. Yeah. Oh.
I was going to ask if this was the beginning of Disney theatrical.
Yeah, it sure
and then
is.
You covered it.
So I think they're doing some like.
I rescind my hand raise.
I think. No, this is probably all around the same time because like so Disney theatrical covers their Broadway stuff, it covers their cruise ship stuff, and it covers like licensing, like if schools or regional playhouses
like
want to do any of these titles.
Anything where they have to deal with unions.
Yeah. I think that's the simplest way of putting it. So, Dick, what is your experience with these Broadway productions?
I have, because I live with you, I have heard the Lion King Broadway production a lot, and one song in particular. And I've seen like bits and pieces, but I haven't seen it live. Beauty and the Beast, the Broadway production, I don't know at all. But funny story, which you know because you were there, on one of our, I think it was like our first big anniversary date, or maybe it was my birthday. You took me on I think it was my birthday. You took me on like a kind of scavenger hunt where you were like, hey, we're going to do all these things. Here's some clues. Listen to this edited audio and you'll know where we're going. And like the first one was in the Heights. It's like, you must take the... And I'm like, the A train. We take the A train.
It was like missing lyrics, and those were the clues. Yeah.
So the next one was like Maison de Lune or something like that. But I guess that's a song from the Beauty and the Beast Broadway.
At the de Lune.
And I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I thought you were gonna get that one.
What is this? Should I know what this is?
So it was Maison. If you are interested in having really good mushroom risotto in Harlem, Maison Harlem.
We're giving a lot of New York
Okay,
tips.
but you did have Broadway Gaston in your audition book.
Yeah.
When you were an actor, right?
Yeah, I was, when I was auditioning, I had, oh my God, what song is that? Oh, Me, right? Yeah, I had a Broadway Gaston song, but I had listened to like that song.
And that's it.
Because I was like, this is the one I'm interested in doing.
That's what threw me off. Like, oh, he's listened to all the Gaston parts.
Nope.
So I've seen Beauty and the Beast only in a high school production. But notable for one of the best audience moments I've ever experienced. Okay. Like during one of the two wolf scenes, I think it was the second one where like Belle is attacked and the beast comes out and saves her. It's a high school production in Wisconsin. These wolves have these cool like cape masks kind of thing, and they're like whirling around the stage, and there's black light involved, and they all like the beast comes out and shoos them off, and they all go running off stage, but one of them smacks into the scenery because it's poor lighting and they're wearing mask capes, and he like goes down. And it was so funny.
Wolf.
I think it was okay. Like there were no ambulances after the performance, but that was also neat because at that high school, the actors wear their costumes to meet with family in the audience at the end.
Oh, how
that
professional.
Was forbidden at our high school.
Same.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't know about my high school, but in
someone
college
would have gotten kicked out if they did that. Yeah, it was unprofessional. But anyway, so we took pictures with them like we were at Disney World. It was great. We were in college, like grown adults.
So you can tell us a little bit more about the Lion King on
I sure will.
Broadway. But I will say, like, one of the reasons, and one of the big reasons that I think Lion King is still around is because they don't use dorky costumes.
Those Beauty and the Beast costumes were somewhat of a product of their time, except for it's still 1994, but they look like retro Phantom of the Opera costume. Like the wigs especially are atrocious.
Like it's
Belle has like ringlet, like weird ringlets, even in her like blue dress hair.
And Gaston's got like
I don't
a muscle
understand.
suit on.
That's kind of clever. That's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun.
But
It's kind of clever.
they're like the 80s version of Victorian or Gothic, and it's just...
And how is the Beast represented?
The Beast has a like prosthetic mask.
No.
But yeah, he's got like velvety. So it's been announced that there's going to be a revival on Broadway, and I'm excited alone for the costume updates.
Yeah.
Like they cannot use the same wigs.
Yeah, and like the Lion King uses symbolic costumes.
So yeah, the
like
Lion King
entirely, right?
Yeah, before I get on a let's see, Little Shop size tangent about the Lion King.
I'm gonna keep.
I do
want to
mention that
every time.
No.
Every time you mention a musical as a unit of measurement, I'm just gonna roll my eyes.
Maybe the Lion King Kids. That's only 30 minutes.
In honor of the audience.
I do want to mention that there were some songs added in the Beauty and the Beast Broadway that I really like.
Yeah.
Above all, If I Can't Love Her, the Beast's the first act finale. I was very disappointed to not see it in the subsequent version of in the live action. We can talk about that today, but it's just not time yet. I was very disappointed it was not there because it's so good. Mm-hmm. So what Alan Menken does is basically takes all of his fantastic score motifs, turns them into songs too. Like Maurice has got a da 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 song. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got the motif. So it's like you already are familiar with the music. It just has words now, and I think that's really clever. So Lion King, let's break this open. Lion King does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of songs that are based on themes in Zimmer's score.
Did Hans Zimmer write those?
Well,
Elton John wrote those, right? Elton John is like, hey, I'm going to take these.
Lebo, Lebo. So after the first movie, Lebo decides he's not done yet with The Lion King. This is like 95, 96, yes.
So, hold on.
Yeah.
To be clear.
Uh-huh.
Lebo is the third guy that's involved in the music of The Lion King. It's Elton John.
With Tim Rice as the fourth, yeah.
It's Hans Zimmer. Tim Rice is lyricist.
Lebo, for those...
And Lebo is a South African songwriter.
Yes, and musician.
And singer.
He's the one who sings... Nyansingonya.
He's kind of the hero of The Lion King.
He sure is.
Because without him, I don't think the music would have sounded correct.
No. Yeah. So Lebo, my personal hero, Lebo, he just decides, like, I'm going to keep writing songs for The Lion King. I know this movie's done, but I'm just going to keep writing. He writes so much that he is able to put out an additional album called Rhythm of the Pride Lands. And there's like 2 like demo type songs. There's an earlier version of Hakuna Matata, which actually ends up getting put into The Lion King 1.5, the excellent sequel, midquel. But the rest of it is just Lebo singing in Zulu or Xhosa, and just like riffing off of themes or writing new themes. On this album, the songs that become He Lives in You, the song that becomes Shadowlands, the song that becomes Endless Night.
Which are all songs in the Broadway production.
Yes. Like, he basically writes the Broadway additional material on this album for fun. Yeah. Because he's just not done writing yet.
It when you first like mentioned this to me, I was like, oh, music inspired by the movie, because usually that means it's like, oh, it's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song that wasn't good enough for our album. Right. So I guess it's inspired by Batman. But this is just music inspired by the movie.
Well, and listening to it recently, too, it's like, oh, these songs were all used. I have like very vague, how I found it was I have very vague memories as a child of like hearing a Pumbaa song that I didn't know somewhere. Either it was like being played at Target, or like I have weird memories of it being played in like a dolphin show at the zoo. I might be making that up.
Sounds super likely.
However, I'm like, well, I know Pumbaa, but I don't know this song. This is incorrect. Yeah. But I learned there was a whole second CD, and we didn't own it, but I listened to it once or twice, maybe from the library. Nice. And then listening to these songs again, now that I know the Broadway version, it's like, oh, he had just had that written. So not only is all of that in the musical, and they've translated it to English, but it's Lebo writing it, so it's both the score and that Lebo character, so it feels very organic. It's also, and we riff a lot on Julie Taymor, but Julie Taymor has great ideas, like the best ideas some of the time. And then the rest of the time, Spider-Mens go to the hospital.
I can't let you say something like that and pretend that the entire podcast believes it. I think Julie Taymor accidentally has a good idea once in a while.
Pop a crack.
I think Julie Taymor has terrible ideas, and then people say no until she has a good one.
I think that's more the case. You're right.
So, Kate, tell us what that means.
Well, so she...
Julie Taymor is
the director of The Lion King on Broadway, and like, I feel like director in a more involved way than most directors are. She designs all the costumes. She designs all the puppets. That's one of her big things in life. And it's puppetry styles from around the world, including Africa, but not limited to. And so by this point, it's fairly ubiquitous, but just in case, all the actors in this show, instead of wearing traditional costumes, like either them being lions or like having lion makeup, they have masks that are worn above their head for the main characters, and then their faces are done in more like geometric. I'm sure there is some like tribal significance to the patterns they use and everything.
Right.
And then for all the other animals that don't speak, the giraffes, the elephants, they're just giant multi-actor puppets.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I have seen the Broadway production 2 times, once on tour and then once on Broadway. And it like makes me weep every time that elephant comes in Circle of Life. It's just astounding. And the way that the actors use the masks and use their body with the masks is just, it's so well done. And I think digging into that kind of, and I won't call it all like digging into African culture because that's not all the puppets she uses, but like digging into something that makes you feel like you're in a different place really, I think has helped the longevity. I think it supports the story and it supports the world building in a way that, like, Beauty and the Beast, great. Like, great songs using the motifs, but like I've seen other Disney musicals that have not done so well at like serving their original movies, and I think Lion King it certainly does.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Hunchback wasn't the worst, but there's some stuff.
Frozen to a certain extent. I can't wait to talk about Aladdin the musical when we get to that episode, because
I can wait to talk about Frozen on Broadway. That was so long.
So what was the best part of it? It was that Sven puppet that's clearly inspired by Julie Taymor.
That's incorrect.
What?
The best part of it was not the Sven puppet that was inspired by Julie Taymor.
Which
I don't even know if was inspired by Julie Taymor.
It was a puppet. I don't know.
It's not representational. It's literal.
Well,
so,
yeah,
like,
but you got 2 actors in it, and
the
Olaf is kind of like Timon.
It's like more inspired by Walking with Dinosaurs.
Yeah, sure.
Or like The Woodsman or something like that. Equus.
Okay. What was your favorite part of Frozen?
The return from the second act. Yeah. That song was great.
Yeah, it was great.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. So Lebo wins the day.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about in the Broadway version of The Lion King before we move on?
I'd like to somewhat segue to, I did this with my kids again. Just as a, okay.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about the Broadway production of The Lion King before we move on?
I did this with my kids in spring 2017, and so my choreographer and I got tickets to go see The Lion King on Broadway. We had both seen it before.
Gotcha. When you said I did this with my kids, I didn't understand what you meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And fatefully, unfaithfully, we got tickets months in advance for 2 days after the 2016 presidential election.
Right.
So
your kids are your students?
My kids are my students.
They all live in
They all live
like
in the Bronx.
low-income Bronx area.
Yeah, they go to a public school in the Bronx.
A lot of them are immigrants, or their parents are immigrants.
Yeah. So not only 2 days after the election, I'm thinking, okay, great, I'm going to a Broadway show. Like, this is the first time I cannot think about it. But then you realize that the main villain of this show is a shunned outsider who thinks he's better than everyone else, groups together a band of predatory outcasts who feel disenfranchised by society, but maybe not they are so much. And then he illegally takes over a throne, and he's got a reprise in the Broadway one that was cut out of the movie that, like, the lyrics are literally like, "It's time that I introduce you to my new executive staff. They're not the type that that you're used to, but they sure are good for a laugh." And yeah, it was pretty terrifying.
And the hyenas goose step across the stage.
And the hyenas goose step, and they're like coming in, taking over the Pride Lands where Mufasa once led everyone. So it was uncomfortable.
In fairness, Mufasa did a lot of drone strikes that are
Mufasa
like a little
is also
questionable.
an imperialist. I understand. But he was really well liked.
Yeah.
And I feel like he had
was at
the
least-
people in mind.
He was
had
kind of cool.
his
Mufasa
subjects
played basketball
in mind.
So okay,
But then watching it with my kids, they thought the same thing.
Yeah.
They, like, my kids had never seen the movie before.
Yeah.
Scar's giving his "eat with me and I'll never be hungry again," and one kid in the back says, "He sounds like Donald Trump," and it just took all that I had to not give him a high five.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Dick, what do you want to talk about next? I feel like
I feel like there might be another piece of stage theater that you want to talk about.
Ooh, is there?
I thought so.
Oh no,
Well,
that was really it. Just
you
seeing
mentioned
it.
that you had done this, that you had taken your kids to the show. Do you have any other
Well,
involvement with your students and
so
the
we
Lion
didn't
King?
we didn't take them to the Broadway show. My choreographer and I went to the show. We showed them the movie.
Okay.
But no, they performed it. We did it on stage.
Your students did the Lion
They
King
sure did.
as the 5th grade musical.
They sure did.
That's what I was going for.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, it's like a directing role I've been preparing for since I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, like I feel like you've probably directed the Lion King in your head thousands of times since you were a kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was very gratifying, and it was neat for them to, like, like I said earlier, for them to really get what it's about. And that's the power of a good movie, is that it can work on many levels. Like, some kids maybe are just going to be there for the Pumbaa fart jokes, and that's fine.
That's funny.
But 10, 11-year-olds can get some really meaty things, and who knows, maybe draw from that later as they're experiencing that. So they did a great job.
Not
yeah.
so well with the scene changes.
Yeah, they're in 5th grade.
But otherwise, really.
I mean, we had a post Hakuna Matata. Our young Simba and adult Simba were played by different actors. Adult Simba, like, the song has ended. The transition has been made. Adult Simba is in dialogue with Timon and Pumbaa, and our young Simba just walks across the stage,
Like,
not behind the scenery.
It seems like he realized he was on the, like he. It seems like he realized that he exited stage left when he meant to exit stage right.
Except for he didn't. That was
then he
how it
just-
was blocked.
He just walked across the stage.
Just proudly. And, like, me and all the actors on stage were like, get out, get out, get out. You're not a character.
And then he got like halfway across the stage, looked at you, and then you're like, well, keep going now.
Yeah, it was. And then adult Simba liked to do a little, like, slow jam dance starring
Yeah.
He Lives in You.
It was amazing.
It was great.
So,
It
yeah.
was really great.
Kate, if we want to, like, transition from this to anything else, I think the other thing that the next thing that I think makes sense to talk about is the sequels, which we haven't seen most of them.
So
There's like
I've seen
4 sequels to Beauty and the Beast. There's
I've
like 2 or 3 to Lion King.
I've seen all the Lion King ones.
Okay.
I think I had Belle's Enchanted Christmas, which was the first quote unquote sequel, like on a book and tape. And really, so there's another one too. It's like Belle's.
Yeah.
There's a sequel and then there's a midquel.
Yeah.
So for both, there's a sequel and a midquel. Except for there's
What's a midquel?
a midquel is, let's say you have like a Shakespeare play and someone writes...
Let me pick one out. Let me say Hamlet.
Yeah, like Hamlet.
Okay, let's say we've got Hamlet.
And so someone writes another play relating to Hamlet, except for it's just a different perspective of the same events in Hamlet. So it's not a sequel.
Like Ophelia or something?
Ophelia
so it's
or
like
Laertes
another main
or
character that we focus on.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, say.
So like two minor kind of jokey, like not minor but not big, kind of jokey characters.
Comedic, yeah.
Huh.
A midquel does not have to be jokey and comedic.
No, but that's an example.
It is an example of a midquel.
And in this case, it is jokey and comedic because we've seen one of them, and we want to talk about one of them.
But before that, it doesn't have to be jokey and comedic because you could have a midquel where somehow the Beast is very abusive to Belle in the middle stages, and it makes you not like him as a character. I've only seen clips of that one, but it looks horrendous. However, on the flip side, it can be comedic.
You really just hate my segues.
Well, but I have that I don't want to talk about it at the end. The Lion King 1.5 is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. It is the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead to Lion King's Hamlet. It's Timon and Pumbaa telling the events of the Lion King, plus a little bit more in the beginning. And it's actually I lent you this movie on our first date.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird lend. Yeah, I watched it.
Well, I guess we'll get to it in another episode probably because it is an animated movie. What?
Can I not talk about it?
No, you could talk about it. Go for it.
I thought you were going to ask me to talk about it.
Your face looked like you did not want to talk about it anymore.
Talk about it, and then you're like, "Well, we'll talk about it on a different episode." Yeah, it's pretty good. It stars Timon and Pumbaa. There's a fun song about digging a tunnel. Your DVD was a little scratched, so it was a little rough to watch. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was surprisingly good.
So it's
how
like
I would describe
Timon and Pumbaa's backstories, and then like how they get to their Hakuna Matata land. But interspersed are these famous scenes from The Lion King, and like they're in Circle of Life trying to look for the king, and they're like, we don't see him anywhere. Pumbaa farts, so all the animals fall down, but it looks like they're bowing. Haha, that's what you're actually seeing in the Circle of Life. And just every scene is that way. And also it has a good independent story of Timon and Pumbaa like finding chosen family in each other when their actual families have shunned them. It's so good. You think it's going to be not good because Simba, or was it Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, not good. I have seen that once. I have forgotten almost everything about it because I hated it. It does have the song He Lives in You in it, though, so we have to give it that.
An amazing song.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that movie came first or whether Lebo's song came first, and they didn't have any Broadway plans. They're like, oh, we got to make a vehicle for this.
I think you have to write the song for it to be in the movie, so I'm going to say the song came first.
Well, like the idea of the movie. Did they commission Lebo to write a song for this movie? Anyway, so yeah, the Beauty and the Beast ones have not done as well.
Right, I haven't seen...
They do have, at least Belle's Enchanted Christmas has all the original voices.
Okay.
So, like, they at least got paid well, even if... Yeah.
You don't know that.
But, like, so, looking...
They might have got paid terribly.
No, we need to watch these, though, because, Prince Adam, with the Beast's actual name, looks terribly off-model. Like, everyone looks off-model.
He never looks on-model.
That's true. I mean, on-model would be Bob Golick, right? Thanks to all of those listeners who voted for Bob Golick in that poll. True. You know who you are. All right. Those are the sequels. We don't know much about anything but The Lion King 1.5. What else would you like to talk about?
I mean, we've got to talk about the live-action movies.
Do we have to?
We do.
I think we can just skip over that.
No, we have to talk about them because you made me see Beauty and the Beast live action.
I didn't realize at the time that making you see it would be the most accurate verb.
Yeah.
I thought it might be entertaining.
You were wrong. It was bad.
All right, so going into it.
And wait. You have not seen the Lion King live action.
I have not.
I have had to suffer through Beauty and the Beast starring Belle that can't sing, and you have not had to watch lions that can't open their mouths with at least pretty good singers.
We've seen some scenes from Lion King, and they all look like trash.
Looks like butt.
Dick, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what movie did you think you were getting into seeing Beauty and the Beast live action?
I don't understand the question,
Like,
and
did
I
you
won't
have
respond to
high
it.
expectations, low expectations,
Low expectations.
middling
I
expectations?
had very low expectations.
So I did too. And because the movie barely exceeded my low expectations, I didn't mind it as much at the time. It did not even meet your low expectations.
No. I going into that movie, I was like, okay, Kevin Kline is in it. That'll be fun. Ewan McGregor's in it. He's never not fun. He was the only good person. He was the only good actor in the Star Wars prequels. Like, he managed to make those, at least his parts, entertaining. Fine. He'll be great. And then, obviously, Josh Gad as LeFou. Perfect casting.
Perfect
What
casting.
could go wrong?
Well,
Josh Gad could
this
go
whole
wrong.
movie, though, like, is a weird cast, right? Ewan McGregor is great. And also Kevin Kline is great. And also Ian McKellen is great. And Josh Gad is great. Like, but they're all in the same movie. And I feel like as the casting information was coming out prior to this movie, I just had no idea what film they were making.
It's interesting because to me...
Because, like, Ian McKellen is not Cogsworth.
That's interesting. Because
Ever.
To me, the casting makes sense.
Together?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Why not? It's voices.
I guess why not? But, like...
Cogsworth is kind of like a stuffy clock. Ian McKellen can play a stuffy clock. Lumiere is a sex-crazed candle man. Ewan McGregor can play that.
Like a showman, yeah.
So, like, why can't they bounce off each other and play those roles? It makes sense. It's not a challenge, I don't think. And yet they made the candle man a candle man instead of a candlestick. And they made the clock so realistic that you can't tell what's going on with it.
Before we really dive in, I'm not going to make you make this a sandwich, but can you make it a flatbread? Do you have like one positive compliment?
I'll add some positives at the end.
Okay.
So that I trash it, and then you've got like a good
right.
dessert.
My big problem with this movie was every musical number.
Okay.
What was your big problem? I thought.
That's okay. Yeah. That. Yeah, the music is terrible. I mean, you set me up to trash this. I'm gonna go.
Great, go.
Okay. You can't cast someone as Belle who doesn't sing.
You can't.
You can't. She can't sing, and that's fine. More power to her for trying, but don't cast her. This is a musical. Like, you can't auto-tune your way out of this.
No.
You can't...
especially when the music is so beloved as it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you're like, you know, my high school theater teacher always says, the audience will forgive wrong musical notes before they forgive wrong emotional notes. But, like, with Beauty and the Beast, it's equal. Like,
we learned this lesson from Les Mis. We learned the lesson of don't let people who can't sing sing. We said don't cast Gerard Butler in a musical again. Don't cast Hugh Jackman in a musical again.
Oh,
sorry, I hate Hugh Jackman.
He would have been a great
so
Javert.
much.
He would have been a great Javert.
Yep, but he wasn't. He was just a bad Jean Valjean.
Can't sing those notes.
No,
It's okay.
he can't. So don't cast him.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's the
I
same-
agree.
It's the same in Beauty and the Beast. Don't cast someone who can't sing. Don't add stuff that isn't needed. Don't add humor that's not needed. Don't try and woke up your movie when it doesn't need to be. There's no, like, I don't care if, like, the wardrobe is a great wife or what. I don't, like, she's married to the piano or something.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the movie that I saw, that I like, the tale that is as old as time.
Well, and that's the thing.
Not a modern, like, crappy version, which we've like mentioned, like, this would have been fine in a table read. Like if I saw
All of
all
these
these
live
actors
actions should
doing
be
it
table
at the
reads.
Hollywood Bowl, that would have been fine. But that's not what it was. This was
Nope.
a hugely expensive produced movie, and it just sucked on bread. The Beast looked terrible.
Yeah, I did.
And-
I did not care for it.
And like no one, like it was staged badly. Like Gaston,
it was really dark all
yeah,
the time. Really dark.
really lifeless.
Even in like the town scenes.
and
yeah.
they managed to make the song Gaston boring.
See, that's the only musical number I didn't mind.
Ugh.
I agree that it was
Ugh.
worse, but like all right. My biggest musical problem in the movie was Be Our Guest, which I started out on board with. I love that little like bit where they're like, "Oh, we've never put on a show before. Let's like kind of wing our way through this." That's cute. But by the end, like the thing that I mentioned in last episode that makes me like actually weep in this song is this like relentless like accelerando, the da 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 da, and they totally biffed it in this song where they're da 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 dance instrumental da 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 instrumental. Now we have a break to breathe. Chorus.
They added
You're like, what?
They added like a bunch of instrumental.
And it could be that it's in the Broadway version. I'm not as familiar. There is more
matter.
dancing in the Broadway version.
Yeah.
But it just completely wrecks the best part of that song with it, which is the kick line.
Yeah.
And then in my other big problem is Beauty and the Beast, which like Emma Thompson does an okay job with as Mrs. Potts, as
She's
like
no
not a
Angela
singer by
Lansbury.
trade. No, well, no one is. But they do this weird thing where like they put the instrumental in 3 because it's a waltz. I've heard it work before in, I can't remember if it's Hi Ho Mozart or Bippity Boppity Bach, where they do a Rachmaninoff version of Beauty and the Beast and dun 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 dun. It's beautiful because it's a dance, but they put the instrumental in 3 as Emma Thompson is singing in the original 4.
Right.
And it just sounds like garbage.
Yeah.
Like a hot garbage. And that's to me like the sacred text of the music. You mess with it, I'm done.
She did Into the Woods, right?
No.
Am I wrong?
She did a PBS Sweeney Todd as Mrs. Lovett.
That's what I'm thinking of then. Yeah. I guess Mrs. Lovett doesn't really require beautiful singing.
And my problem is not with Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
My problem is with the orchestration and
That's fair.
arrangement.
Yeah.
Like, if that's Alan, I'm sorry, my problem was with Alan.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
So Beauty and the Beast, I'm going to say some good things about it now.
Okay.
Okay. I really liked Gaston.
The character.
The actor
Yeah.
who played him, Luke Perry or something.
Evans. Dan Stevens. Luke Evans. Luke Evans.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know him from anything. I thought he was really great. He was funny. He knew what the part was. He overacted to the correct extent. Josh Gad. He had a...
That's not Josh Gad's fault.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is Josh Gad's fault that Josh Gad acts to the back.
He was still playing in a theater when there were cameras.
That's...
I think that's a direction thing overall. He pulled an Anthony Rapp in Rent. He's still on the stage.
I'm sorry. That's Josh Gad's fault because he does that in other movies too.
Okay.
That's not the director. And the director did
That's
a
fair.
terrible job, but you can only do so much with Josh Gad, is what I've learned. He's really good at a voice.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him.
Yeah. Why?
But yeah, Luke Evans I think was very good. That's
are your
the
positive.
end of my list.
What a lot of the like, oh, don't give it such a hard time is like, it fixed so many things. And we had talked about a lot of the holes in the original movie the week before, or our episode before. There are so many holes.
Yeah.
So it tries to fix things like giving Belle more to do and like, why doesn't anyone remember this castle? And did the objects have lives as servants? And it's just, as we said last week, you start filling too many holes and you're going to end up with holes elsewhere.
And as we said last week, the reason that we don't think about those holes until after we're done watching the movie is because we're so engaged and so emotionally involved.
Yeah.
But when the movie is all about filling holes, then all we're doing is sitting there going like, oh, that's clever.
Well,
oh,
and
she
it
tied
doesn't
up the
carry
horse.
through. It doesn't have any impact on anywhere else in the story. Like, great, like Belle in the original movie, not a great character.
No, she doesn't even remember the beast's
Make
name.
her an inventor as well. Like, have her like, trying to teach girls in the neighborhood things. But then like, they only, again, just like in Beauty and the Beast, it's only in the first act.
Yeah.
She doesn't even use the inventor stuff later, like when Chip makes that machine work in the third act. Like they don't even use it. It's like, why have you done this?
Like in the first one, you find out that she really likes reading. Mm-hmm. And then the Beast gives her a library in the castle where she's entrapped.
Yeah, there's not a lot of logic to it, but at
it
least
ties in.
It's set up payoff.
You see a book in the first act, someone's going to fire it in the third act.
Yeah.
Check out the book.
I mean, I'll just go back to my favorite tweet when the first Lion King live action, quote unquote, CGI trailer came out. Just simply, what a tremendous waste of resources.
What a tremendous waste of resources.
And that's, I mean, we can't talk too much about the Lion King because we haven't seen it, but let's do anyway.
But let's take like a minute because again, we haven't seen it. I will eventually make you see it for this podcast.
You will have to put a lot of alcohol in me.
Because we are professionals. We're going to watch it sober and then get very drunk afterwards.
Oh, no.
That's my goal to you.
I think that's what we were going to do with The Greatest Showman, too, but we were on, like, our second whiskey 20 minutes in.
Yeah, but that movie was
I think it's going to be a similar
garbage.
situation.
At least the music and... I will also say the Beauty and the Beast, I think they had more of a budget for the orchestra, so I think there were a few more pieces. So some of the score sounds really nice.
Yeah. I guess.
That's another nice thing.
Yeah,
And that's something that we've got to look forward to in Lion King. If you close your eyes during an instrumental part, it's going to sound great.
Maybe. We don't know what's going on over it.
Okay, give us just like a quick 1 or 2 minute rundown, your thoughts on the live action.
So there's a reason that none of the trailers showed us lions' mouths moving. They do it in the movie. And based on the clips that we've seen, and we've seen a couple clips at this point, it looks like straight trash. And like, it just makes me angry.
Quick caveat, by the way, if you like either of these movies, that's great, and we're still your friends.
Yeah. Also,
we don't hate you. We just think you make interesting choices.
And I actually envy the people who can like watch this and be like, "Oh, this is just fun." I'm like, I'm so angry. I really envy people who
don't take it so seriously that they
joy.
get angry.
No, I'm too far in at this point.
Yeah, we're too far gone.
We're too far.
We just can't watch a thing and enjoy it.
The mouths look crappy. Like I almost wish they would have done no mouths and just voiceover as like either telepathy or that's just how lions talk with their mouth closed.
Right?
Because it looked. Or Homeward Bound.
Or Babe.
Yeah. And I think Babe, their mouths moved.
Oh, well.
But they were more cartoony. Anyway, if we wanted realistic lions, we didn't want realistic lions.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for this. And we did listen to the soundtrack, the songs, just to kind of see.
Until I was done.
Yeah.
And then you listened to more, I think.
Anytime Lebo is in it, it sounds great.
Oh, he's amazing.
Lebo's great. The little kid they got to do, J.D. McCrary.
Oh, yeah.
The little Simba.
He's great.
He's great.
Little Simba sounds really good.
Billy Eichner has a surprisingly strong singing voice.
Yeah, surprisingly decent. We're not going to talk about Seth Rogen.
That's all. Again, so Seth Rogen is Pumbaa. He's a tremendously bad singer.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to use that angle, and it's just like terrible execution.
Bad singer, but he's also like a lazy singer. I feel like he's like, well, I sing bad, so I'm not going to try that hard.
I feel like how half of these songs worked is like we would hear what they were doing, and then we'd be like, cool, we're done. Next song.
Yeah.
But like even Can You Feel the Love Tonight, where I enjoy Donald Glover's singing voice. I enjoy Beyonce's singing voice. I'm like too far in. These are sacred texts. If you're going to be doing riffs and melismas on every single note of the song, it's not the song anymore, and I'm not interested. There's someone interested in that. It's not me.
As I am fond of saying, sing the notes.
It's not.
Just
it's
sing
not me.
Sing the notes
it's not
of the
for
song.
Me.
But by the way, if oh my God, what's Donald Glover's performance name?
Childish Gambino.
I was like, Young MC? No, that's not right, but it's close. If Childish Gambino and Beyonce were just like, hey, we are recording a song from The Lion King for no reason, just to put it on the radio, that'd be awesome. I would love that. But like, it doesn't make sense in a musical theater perspective.
We're too far in these, right? My big problem with all of these is that it's just kind of a soulless money grab. They're not thinking about how, what we said, why these are our favorite movies. They're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about how can we improve upon what is already great. They're just thinking there's a new technology for this. We can make a couple $100 million on this by putting it out in theaters. Great, let's go. And I wish there was the care put into it that could be if they actually cared about these movies. So it's like they're playing off the nostalgia, but also wrecking the nostalgia at once. At least also, for someone like me who cares too much.
If your movie is so close to the original that you cast one of the actors in the same role.
As soon as I knew they were casting James Earl Jones, I'm like, nope, done. Okay. Like, this is what tells me that this is not real.
Okay, I have one last thing to say on this, and then we're going to move on. We're going to move on from this anger. I am not against the idea of remakes. I don't think you are either. But remake Peter Pan.
Remake movies that have real problems.
They remade Dumbo, and I've heard the new. It
sounds like they gave it more problems.
Well, but at least they cut some of the parts that were problems.
They're
like
not
they didn't
racist
address
crows.
them, but they cut them. But like there are movies that deserve to be remade or could be remade. Robin Hood is like 20% reused animation. Like maybe just like remake that and put original animation in there. Remake Peter Pan, for God's sake. I love that movie, but I cannot watch it in full. Third. Like just take some old stuff and redo it. Remake The Rocketeer. Oh my God, I love The Rocketeer. People don't really know it now, and I don't think it would super hold up graphically. But remake The Rocketeer. They were gonna, and now I guess they're not.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there are opportunities to remake things that need to be remade. Kate, let's talk about another thing.
Let's talk about a happy place thing. Dick, when you're stressed out, you come home and you say, I'm going to play video games. You get some whiskey. Yeah. Say, I'm going to play video games for an hour.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about the Lion King video game specifically. Is that right?
Yeah. And you also have a video game you want to talk about, but I'm going to start with the Lion King. I'm going to start with the Lion King. The Lion King video game was for Super Nintendo and Genesis, and I think it was the same on both, but I could be wrong. But it's solid. These Disney Renaissance games, Little Mermaid was kind of weak, but Aladdin is amazing.
That's a good game.
Yeah. Lion King is a really good game. There's good stuff here, and it makes me really happy. Lion King is especially cool though because the soundtrack is it's just all the score. It's
in 8-bit.
Well, no, because it's Super Nintendo, so it's 16-bit.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But so the opening level is the da 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 da. And then the next one is a Hakuna Matata, or there's a Hakuna Matata level in there where you're jumping onto monkeys and they're swinging you from place to place, and it's fun to do weird monkey jumps while going whoop-a-dee-doop-doop-a-dee, or not Hakuna
Just Can't
Matata.
Wait to Be King.
Just Can't Wait to Be King, and it's you're being carried by all the various animals, and it's a really good scene. recreation. And also, we see in the movie where Simba like practices roaring at a lizard, and then he eventually roars like good enough, and it kind of like reacts. Well, in the video game, you can roar, like one of the enemies that's like roaming around is a lizard, which you can like flip on its back by roaring at
Aww.
it. It's really like, as a tribute to the movie, it's surprisingly good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of something I forgot about. There was a like Windows 98 or 95 CD-ROM that we had of The Lion King. It was less of a video game and more like an activities.
An interactive CD-ROM.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But that was like, there were like pouncing lessons, so you like would have to pounce on Zazu.
Aw.
And there was like a connect the dots and the stars of Mufasa.
Cute.
It was really cute.
That's a really neat way to do that, though.
Yeah.
Connect the stars.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, but what I really remember, and I had just looked up pictures, and like now I am like 4 years old. Like I can't. You were right. It was Tiger Electronics.
Boom.
Handheld Beauty and the Beast game. It's pink. It's got purple accents. There are like 3 main buttons. It's dodge left, dodge right, and magic. And you'd be taken through a series of levels. It was like 3 levels. One is like Bella's running through the castle. She's got to pick up roses. But I just remember the last level was like these like really chintzy, like black. I mean, these electronic games from the early 90s. These like kind of like black shapes on this weird like translucent background. So it had nothing to do with the actual movie, but what your goal was, you play as Belle, and what your goal in the 3rd round is Gaston has your hand gripped and the beast is on the other side. And you just have to mash the magic button as many times as you can to shake yourself loose of Gaston's hand so you can go over and kiss the beast. And you have to do this like 3 times. And then he turns into a human. But I just have like very strong sense memory of like mash, 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 mash. That magic button.
Nice.
Yeah, but that never happens in the movie. Like Gaston doesn't restrain her by holding her hand away from the beast. And then she has to just wiggle really hard.
Well, no, it happens in the game. And she's not wiggling, she's using magic.
She is using magic. Not a lot of logic to it, but I love that game.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back to some sadness?
Oh.
Yeah.
What's making you sad, Dick?
I'm thinking about the Lion King ride at Disney World.
It is a crime that there is not a Disney park in the world that has a Lion King ride-based attraction.
Now,
it is a crime.
Now, I will say, currently, there is no Disney World with a Beauty and the Beast ride-based attraction. One is on the way.
No, however, okay. So what you have that's true. That's fair.
You can't, however,
That's fair.
that.
No, it doesn't have a ride.
There is currently not a Beauty and the Beast ride. There is one coming to
that is true.
Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah,
Or Tokyo Disney Sea.
It's
might be
Disneyland, yeah.
Which, by the way, Disneyland, Disney Sea. That's cute.
That is cute.
But yeah, Tokyo Disneyland is going to have a Beauty and the Beast ride, which if you have not seen like the preview of the animatronics and stuff,
they look like real. But they look like the animated characters.
It's so good.
So it's like the animated characters are real, which you'd think would look upsetting.
But it doesn't.
But I just want to give her a hug.
Yeah.
And like
also that horse.
Weep in her horse. Yeah. Like weep into her horse's mane.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that.
Cool.
They look so cool.
Yeah. But the
no,
Lion
so
King,
currently though, Disney does have Beauty and the Beast better represented than the Lion King. The Lion King has one
I don't
festival.
necessarily agree with that.
Festival of the Lion King. It's a show. It's like 45 minutes or an hour or something. It reuses parade floats from 1994. And it's like just kind of like a musical review. I don't think it's a full story or anything. Just like the floats come out, people sing. There's a little bit of like birds on sticks, kind of like the Julie Taymor production, but it's not the Julie Taymor production. And that's it. And there's a whole park called Animal Kingdom.
That is a falsehood.
Tell me more.
The land.
That's closed now.
Oh, it's closed now?
I think so. Well, it was just narrated by Timon and Pumbaa, which
Okay,
I will say is more than...
So that's more than Beauty and the Beast.
So, okay.
Tell me...
Beauty and the Beast has
me how I'm wrong.
Enchanted Stories with Belle.
Uh-huh.
And you go in and you see it's either an animatronic Lumiere or like a really well 3D projected one.
He's a puppet.
Yeah.
He's a puppet.
But
it's a puppet Lumiere. He's got little sticks on his arms, but he looks amazing.
Yeah. He looks incredible.
Yeah.
And so you go to I think 2 different rooms. Belle tells you stories. We're trying to figure out because we're going next year, whether as 2 adults who don't have a child that belongs to them, whether we can kind of sneak in and look like we're part of things. Because it's definitely geared toward little kids. But so there's that. But then there's the Be Our Guest restaurant. At least in Orlando there is. And so this is this part of this new Fantasyland expansion where they decided these Renaissance films were pretty profitable for us. Maybe we should include them somewhere in our theme parks. So this is where you get the Little Mermaid ride. And this Beauty and the Beast restaurant is incredible from a standpoint of walking in and feeling like you are in the movie.
2/3 of it are.
Yes, well, that's true. You come in, there's the stained glass thing from the end with the Beast the Prince and Belle dancing.
Oh, no, this is
stained glass. This is by the bathrooms. This is before the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Then you walk in, and you're in the ballroom.
By stained glass, I don't understand what you're referring to.
So there's an actual, I think it's real stained glass or, really good plastic.
What in the movie are you referring to?
The last frame of the film.
Oh, okay, like the stained glass. Got it.
Yep.
So it's not really a scene from the film, it's a thing from the film.
It kind of is a scene from the film.
Okay. So we've got that room, but what's the next room?
So you step in and you are in the ballroom.
Yeah.
The ballroom. And granted, it looks a little bit like a mall food court.
It's a little big.
It's got a lot of tables.
It's full of Midwesterners.
But you look up and it's like the cherubs on the ceiling, and you look straight ahead down this giant room, and it's these giant French doors with the balcony where they sit and they talk after they dance. And my friend from college, Ellen, can attest to this. We went several years ago. I walked in and I just wept. I stood there and I wept because growing up with this movie, and even though, you look at it as an adult, you're like, this hole and this hole, and you walk in and you're like, no, none of that matters. So there's that room, but you don't want to sit there because there's too many people.
There's just a lot of people there.
So you go to the left.
Is there another room? Is there a third room?
And it's the West Wing. It is not forbidden.
So
for us.
You've got CJ, you've got the president, whatever his name is.
Bartlett B. Bartlett.
I didn't watch much of that.
Different West Wing. But it's got the rose, and it's magic, and it's this dark room, and everything's ripped up, and every 45 seconds, kind of like the storm at the Rainforest Cafe, there's a storm, and the picture of the prince turns into the beast. Whoa, that's new.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. That's the room I eat in all of the 2 times I've been there. And then there's a third room that we don't have to talk about.
What's the third room?
The best I can describe it is a fancy McDonald's room.
I thought you were I thought that was the stained glass room. I did not understand that.
The stained glass is in the foyer.
Yeah.
No, that would be neat. That would be a welcome addition.
The third room's just kind of a room.
It's just a square, and there are giant paintings of scenes kind of from the movie, but they're not really.
I think that's your character room.
And there's a rotating static statue of Beauty and the Beast dancing.
Yeah,
in the middle.
Whereas in the West Wing, there's a rose under glass.
Yeah.
There's a glowing rose.
Here's the thing. You could make that third room the library. You can have part of it curtained off, so you don't even have to make it that big.
They don't want to make it that boring.
But that's more exciting than
there's just books in there.
Room with pictures.
Some people.
Dumb.
Okay, here's the thing. Some people want to go on the ride and be Peter Pan or be Snow White, and some people want to see Peter Pan or see Snow White.
It
And
is.
those
It's
people,
like it's the little kids'
those
room.
people eat in the square room.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And that's fine. Yeah.
But I will say that when my friend and I asked one of the servers there, we said, "Well, where's the library?" And like, "Can we go to the library?" And the cast member started saying, "Well, the library's not open today." And we're like, "Oh, well done, sir. Well done."
Can I talk about this restaurant now?
Sure.
I've eaten there for lunch. Fine.
Breakfast, right?
I have eaten there for lunch.
Okay.
And it's fine. I know what I've eaten.
Okay.
I have not eaten there for dinner, but I hear it's pretty good. I've eaten there for breakfast. The cool thing about eating there for breakfast is if you're a Walt Disney World and by the way, boy, I hope you're theme park people because we're already getting deep in this. But if you go to the back of the Magic Kingdom, Be Our Guest is there, and you can get a reservation for before the park opens. So you are already in the back of the park, right next to Voyage of the Little Mermaid, when the park opens. So you've got no line for that ride, which is
for like anything back there.
Okay ride. But the breakfasts are not made for people who are big. I would not describe myself as a giant man. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm fairly semi-muscular. But I eat a breakfast, especially at Disney World. And so when I ordered the Gaston breakfast, a man who claims to eat 5 dozen eggs.
5 dozen eggs.
So he's roughly the size of a barge. I did not expect 2 eggs, 2 pieces of sausage, and 2 bacon
and that's
strips. And that's it.
It was a very dinky looking plate.
Like what did you get?
I got like a vegetarian quiche, and it was more food.
Bigger than mine.
Somehow.
Like thankfully they give you like a bunch of pastries.
Yeah.
So I ate all of our pastries, but that breakfast was a bummer.
They shouldn't call it Gaston's breakfast.
Call it LeFou's breakfast.
Yeah, that would be more descriptive.
Fine.
Yeah. Okay, so to Lion King's Presence's credit, they did have for a number of years after the movie Legend of the Lion King, which was like a full-size lion puppet show.
Okay.
It kind of looks cool and creepy, but it's not there anymore. So
Well,
Disney, I am waiting.
Can I tell you what they have now?
What do they have now?
Festival of the Lion King at the Harambe
yes.
Theater. The Hakuna Matata Time dance party with Timon and Rafiki.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Rafiki's Planet Watch, which is like an animal show with Rafiki.
Is that the one that used to be the Pocahontas' one?
I don't know. Probably. Rivers of Light, We Are One. Lion King appears in that. It's like the closing nighttime non-fireworks at Animal Kingdom. And PhilharMagic, Lion King appears in.
Well, yeah. So does
You're
Beauty and
welcome.
the Beast. So that's point for each of them.
I wasn't reading off Beauty and the Beast at Disney World. I was reading off Lion King.
And that's the thing is
And
that
also,
like
wait,
you
wait,
have
wait,
Animal
wait.
Kingdom. Put them in the tree.
Okay. Fine. We're going to get off of Disney World in just a minute. But Kate, is there another Lion King thing at Disney World?
So I'm glad you asked, Dick Ward.
Thank you. I'm glad I asked too.
They I hope this is the thing you're talking about. So at Disneyland in Anaheim, no.
Nope.
Tell me what you want me to say.
Wait, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
No, seriously though, what are you talking about? What's at Disneyland?
There's an annual convention that happens at Disneyland.
Nope.
No. Well, there
Nope.
is.
But no.
What are you
Something at
talking
Disney
about?
World.
Something at Disney World. That is the Lion King?
That almost made you cry.
Oh.
Yeah.
So for all that I
Yes.
talk about how Belle is a shitty princess, she is. Belle is still my favorite, and I can't just like walking into the ballroom and making me weep. She will always make me weep. And so when I was there as a kid, now I don't know the story you're trying to get me to tell,
but
because
tell
I'm just
this
going
one.
to tell
This
a
is
different
good.
one. I was a kid. We spent 10 days at Disney because we were out of control, and we had met so many characters and gotten all these autographs. But you know what? You can't plan for every character. You don't know when they're going to show up. This was before this like big princess lodge that they have where you can meet all the princesses. And I thought, well, this is a pretty good trip, but it looks like I'm not going to meet Belle. So we go to one last character breakfast where like the characters are listed out. We know who's going to be there. Mary Poppins, Winnie the Pooh, fine. And then out of the corner of my eye, this woman in a blue dress walks into the character breakfast. And I think I like broke down. I'm 11. I broke down. And my whole family then at this point is making it their mission in life to wave Belle over to our table. And there's video of this. You have seen it that and she Belle, like stops by the table.
She's moving. She's moving.
She's moving quickly.
She is a fairly new and fairly popular princess.
She's maybe not even supposed to be there.
She's got tables to visit.
Yeah. So she says, hello, quick picture, great. And then my mom just blurts out, oh, you're her favorite. And then Belle, whoomp, like lickety split, bends down, like squats down to have her face right next to mine for a special picture.
Yeah.
She does the autograph. I am in heaven. But like she did not react verbally or facially. It was just like, you're her favorite. Whoomp. Next to this girl right now.
It's like, yep, I know what I'm doing.
These cast members, man, they are well trained. And so she's the only character that I've met as an adult because Ellen and I were walking past France and Epcot, said Belle's going to be here in a half hour. I'm like, Ellen, we're coming back. I'm meeting Belle. And I did, and it was great.
Aw. Kate.
Dick, will you tell me a story of mine?
This is fascinating
from Disney World.
I told you to tell us something about Disney World and The Lion King, and you tried to tell a story about Disneyland.
I thought I had misunderstood.
And then you successfully told a story about Beauty and the Beast. There's one more thing at Disney World, and it's the reason that we're going in February, and we are staying at the Art of Animation Hotel, almost because...
Art of Animation Hotel has 4 different pods. Finding Nemo, Cars, Little Mermaid, and The Lion King.
Now... You didn't remember this story, so I get to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are staying at Pop Century, which is across the river. There's like a bridge to Art of Animation, which is a little more upscale of a resort, but not too upscale. And we're like, hey, this would be cool to go to because there's like a bunch of animation cells on the wall, a bunch of like animation history. And we're like, oh, we should walk around too. If you don't know, the lower end Disney hotels like Pop Century, Sports Century, and Movie Land or whatever.
Yeah,
I forget what they're called, but they're all like we have statues of things, and some of them are like not movie related, like
Rubik's cubes.
A Rubik's cube.
Yeah.
But Art of Animation is all themed. And so there's a Cars section, which we didn't really go to. I don't think you had even seen Cars at that point. No. And there's a Little Mermaid section. So we went to the Little Mermaid section. There's a big pool. There's a statue of Ursula. There's a statue of Sebastian.
That's fun.
And then we go to the Lion King land. And instead of just like some statues, it's the elephant graveyard as a play area.
It's so cool. And it's got the hyenas there. So you've got like the characters too, but they're in environments, which I think is pretty cool because it doesn't have like a pool or anything like that. No. So, and then there's the log over a section, and Simba and Timon and Pumbaa are walking across it, and that's adorable. And at one end of the land, there's a Pride Rock. And the way that I come into it is I see the back of Pride Rock. Already I'm like, welling up like, oh, it's Pride Rock, and I see the mane, I'm like, oh, it's Simba, and I get to the front of it and I just burst into tears because it is not Simba, it is Mufasa. And I didn't know I was going to react like that to like Mufasa being alive and being proudly positioned on top of Pride Rock. And it's like a full size, like it's lion sized and maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's bigger than a normal lion. And and by the way, it's a really cool play area. If you happen to be staying at Disney and you want to stay at like a moderate to cheap hotel, depending when you go. If you go during peak, then Art of Animation is more like moderate price. If you go off-peak, it's like a little bit more than something like Pop Century, but it's way nicer. And also, if you stay at Pop Century, you can just walk over there and use all their stuff. They have the biggest pool in the park, and they have that awesome Lion King play area.
All of these travel tips are also available if you email cellmatespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah,
he'll give you a couple pages if you ask.
We'll make a Disney trip for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else, Kate? We're already on an hour and a half. We promised people this would be a shorter episode.
Fly across the country to Disneyland.
Okay.
Annual D23 conference takes place in Anaheim, California. All things Disney. It's kind of, they announce new things. They celebrate old things.
Yeah.
And I was watching recently, and by recently I mean several years ago, a Lion King panel for its 23rd anniversary, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, they keep bringing out there, here's a director, here's an animator, here's a producer. It's a great conversation. And then, they have to bring a voice cast member out. So they bring out, who else but Pumbaa himself, Ernie Sabella. And Dick, I remember texting with you. We were watching this close together.
You were like a couple of minutes ahead of me.
And I remember both of us, when he came out, we're like, Ernie Sabella's here. He's great. And then Dick is texting me and saying, I love all these stories. And I'm like 10 minutes ahead. And I say, just wait.
Yeah.
My brother and I speak mostly in quotes from movies and TV shows in life. One of our favorites is the Simpsons reference in the Stan Lee episode. Stan Lee is like pretending that he is actually his superheroes. He's in the comic book store. Later in the episode, Bart comes into the comic book store. Stan Lee is still there. And he goes, Stan Lee came back? And comic book guy says, Stan Lee never left. And that's how Ernie Sabella gets in this interview.
Ernie Sabella is having the best time of his life.
He sure is.
And legitimately, it's fun to watch.
He's doing all these quotes and Pumbaa voice and singing things.
He wants the full hour-long panel to himself.
Except for there's like 10 other people there.
Yeah, Jim Cummings gets like 20 seconds.
So as more people come out and it's then their turn to shine, he's still interrupting with like song excerpts. He like brings the whole panel to a grinding halt, coming in with a wimbo wet, a wimbo wet, a wimbo wet.
Awesome.
It's
super fun.
And
the crowd is there for it.
You're like, what, Ernie Sabella, you need to leave. So
I will say in his defense, he asks some good questions. And like at one point, Whoopi is telling a story, and he looks so interested in what she's saying, and she's delivering it in her like Whoopi Goldberg, like kind of like, Whoopi Goldberg, this thing happened, and he's like, ooh,
and he's like laughing the loudest of everyone there. It's just, and we've seen him on a couple other specials where it's like, Ernie Sabella, like, no one paid him to be here. He just volunteered.
But Kate, is there another similar?
I was in a conversation with my brother, and he just brings up out of the blue, Ernie Sabella left, and I respond back, Ernie Sabella came back, and I say, Ernie Sabella never left. And he goes, that's my favorite story from our high school theater director. To which I reply, what? I thought you were talking about the panel. What panel? Wait, tell me your story. So apparently, our high school theater director, who took our high school theater program on trips to New York several years throughout his career, tells the story of one time they saw a show. I don't know if it was Guys and Dolls that Ernie Sabella was in or Man of La Mancha. They saw a show on Broadway. They did like a talk back that Ernie Sabella was a part of, I think is how the story goes. Mm-hmm. And then Ernie Sabella just follows them for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
He's still talking to them. He like asks, like, hey, where are you guys going? And then our director, Frawley, goes, we'll probably just back to the hotel. Oh, well, I can go with you to the hotel. And it's like,
I can walk you there.
They can't get rid of Ernie Sabella. Yeah. So it ends up that like the adult chaperones are like taking the brunt of this. They spend like 3 more hours in the hotel of the Marriott Marquis in Times Square talking to or like having Ernie Sabella talk at them is probably more likely.
Right next to where The Lion King is playing on Broadway right now.
Hey, Ernie Sabella's not part of that. So they just, And then I guess he left at like 1 a.m. or something. He did not come back.
That's right.
Ernie Sabella never left.
All right.
So
Yeah.
the day that we have him on this podcast, we're going to need
another
blank
bedroom.
out several days.
We're going to need another bedroom in this house.
Anyway.
Because he's just going to move in.
Ernie Sabella.
Ernie
Sabella,
Sabella.
everyone. So
Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, faves. We've talked about them for way too long at this point. Thank you so much if you are still sticking around.
Ernie Sabella might as well be here.
Yeah, we are the Ernie Sabella of podcasts.
So, yeah, we never left.
Kate, anything you want to say to just kind of wrap up the topic of those two movies and all their extraneous things?
I mean, I think it speaks to how much we love them and how much they have endured, that we do have so many stories that are just random tangents on these two movies. It's part of the culture of my life, I feel, at this point. So thanks for letting us just rant on about them.
And we'll probably come back to this at some point because I know at least one story that Kate didn't get to. But
oh no,
we're at an hour 40.
All right,
we're gonna go ahead and transition off of the Lion King because and Beauty and the Beast because we have talked about those for quite some time now.
Goodbye, friends.
Good. But
friends in the movies.
Goodbye,
I meant
movie
goodbye,
friends.
Belle. Goodbye.
Keep listening. This podcast continues. We're going to talk a little bit about the last year, what we've learned, and what's to come in the future.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Kate, do you have some, like, do you want to just like ping pong back and forth? Things
let's do a quick lightning round.
Sure.
However lightning round is defined.
Okay.
Of just going back and forth. We talk about on this podcast lessons that animators learned.
Yeah.
What are some lessons that we have learned,
Yeah.
either from podcasting or like from seeing, 50 some animated movies in the past year?
Yeah.
What's a lesson you've learned, Dick?
I've learned that transitions are important and editing is hard.
Yes.
Well, editing is time consuming.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You're good at it, though.
Thank you. What about you, Kate?
I have learned that you gotta talk about two movies that you can actually put a Venn diagram over, not just two movies. And I think the faves it did have some Venn diagram moments, but we've actually recorded episodes in the past where it's just like, well, these two movies have the same director.
It was a Little Mermaid Aladdin, right?
We did a Little Mermaid Aladdin episode that we just scrapped immediately after recording. We both looked at each other and said, well, that was terrible, right? Yeah.
There was like nothing to it.
There was nothing to talk about.
This movie's good. So is this movie.
This movie's also good.
Neat.
Da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, having actual... I feel like that was maybe where the outline was born. The outline that we write on and sometimes stick to and sometimes don't.
We write like a vague outline.
We try to have a couple topics that we see as being relevant to both.
Yeah.
Other lessons.
Yeah. It's harder to podcast when you're on pain medicine for a back injury. And also just podcasting while you're not feeling great or when
Heat
you're
stroke.
grumpy. I get grumpy before we podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
We've like nixed episodes and then redone them because like come home from like a long day at work and everyone's like demanding of your time.
And same.
Then,
I feel like we've scrapped episodes for both of us.
Yeah.
For each of us being cranky.
You've done better the last couple months because it's been summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, man, it's not always like we're just talking
cranky.
about stuff we love to talk about anyway. But sometimes it's hard to schedule it when you just want to lay down and zone out.
Yeah. I've got a lesson based on the animated movies, and we've mentioned this before, and it shouldn't be that hard. Culture bearers should tell the story of cultures represented in a movie.
Oh, that's just like a lesson you've learned about movies.
That is easily applicable when I see a new movie come out. I'm like, oh, is this all white people making a movie about all brown people? Neat. I can skip that. Like
it's going to be...
It's going to be...
iffy
problematic
at
best. Yeah. Any other...
Sure.
Anything else you've learned?
I can keep going. Yeah,
Sure.
I've learned some stuff. Don't cast most people. Don't cast celebrities unless they're good or it makes sense.
A voice actor and an actor are not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a famous person isn't necessarily good for your movie.
No.
And also yeah, just in general, like I think like B level celebrity is the highest you should really go. Like I don't know where Robin Williams was at the time of Aladdin.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of fading, and then he kind of came back with Aladdin.
He had a resurgence after that.
Because it was like Aladdin, Jumanji, like stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I think his star was fading a little bit, but he was probably still like an A level.
Yeah.
But generally, like you don't need
unless there's a really strong reason to. Like the other counterexample I'm thinking of is Tom Hanks in Toy Story, which is a movie we haven't necessarily talked, but like he's coming off of Forrest Gump, Philadelphia Story, like Tom Hanks is peak Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks
when Toy Story comes out, but he fits that character so well that you cannot imagine it being anyone else.
And they cast him surrounded by like lesser tier, like Tim Allen.
Yeah, it's
like,
not Tom Hanks and Angelina Jolie. I know that's
it's
not that time.
I mean, it's
Julia
not,
Roberts.
It's not Will Smith and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not necessary or wanted.
Yeah. But you dip too far down and you get your Rob Schneiders, and that's also not good.
No, you dip too far down and you get Jim Cummings and Rob Paulson.
But I don't know, like, does Jim Cummings even count as a celebrity? Like, he's a celebrity to us.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you dip farther down.
So, yeah, you can't do D-list. You have to just go off the list.
I don't know. I think you can do, like, Fran
Drescher was
the
great.
Best
No,
part
you're
of that
right.
movie. You just don't cast the copy.
Go back
guy.
and for reference, the Shark Tale, the Reef episode.
Yeah,
you'll know what we're talking about.
Fran Drescher's
here.
surprisingly good in a otherwise terrible movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, like you shouldn't just know better than to cast Rob Schneider.
Yeah,
like just cast anyone
as
else.
like 3 parts. So
yeah. What about you, Kate? Anything else? Anything else you want to?
You know what? I'm just thinking of as we're referring to other episodes. We've done 26 episodes
That's
up to
correct.
this point. Is that right?
Yes.
Dick, do you have any
26 and 4/5?
Well, okay. That's wishful thinking. You have any I don't know, statistics or observations on those first 26 episodes?
No. It's a lie.
False.
Yes, I do. I do. Yeah, just going through the numbers a little bit. I've found some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that our second most popular episode is Little Mermaid and Moana.
Which is the first episode we released.
Which is the first episode, so people
That's either good or bad.
Yeah, we need to put a little bumper in front of that says, excuse the fact that we recorded this on a phone. Please skip
and before we had any of our organizational structure.
Please skip forward to when we have microphones. And then 3, 4, and 5 are American Tail and Great Mouse Detective, Rescuers, Secret of Nim, Brother Bear, Brave.
So these are recent episodes.
These are our recent episodes, yeah.
All right, so Dick, I haven't heard you say number 1.
Yeah.
Here's a drum roll.
It's Meet the Robinsons and the Lego Movie.
Of course.
It's strange.
What?
It's not our most recent.
No.
It's not our oldest. It's not our most famous movies.
Or even I feel like American Tail inspires a certain way back nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of these movies are that old or that new.
So this
that's so interesting.
This could speak to a demographic. It's I don't know how old everyone is. I know how old 2 of our audience are
because we know them personally.
But everyone else you and I are of a certain age.
Yeah.
Where we're technically millennials. I'm very barely a millennial.
Elder
millennial. Thank you. But I don't know. Maybe Lego Movie and Meet the Robinsons is nostalgia.
Sure.
Those are not that new.
I liked the episode too.
Oh yeah, it was a good episode.
We mined a lot of Venn diagramming off those 2 movies, way more than we thought.
Bunch of surprise dads.
Surprise dads. I'm proud of that episode, but yeah, it just seems it seems like the Little Mermaid episode would be number 1 or something that's a far more popular title
Right.
involved.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know. Doesn't seem like title popularity really matters that much.
Yeah, so if anyone else out there wants to really mess with our statistics, choose a random episode and
just
then like
download it 100
yeah,
times.
like play it on loop when
Yeah.
you're like not listening to it
Yeah.
and see what we say next year at this time.
Well, so for our statistics, you would have to download it, and you would have to download it, I think, on like a new podcast player.
So you'd
you
have
gotta
to do it on
you gotta
multiple
do some work,
devices or apps.
which is fine. But also, hey, rate and review us on all of those
Hey.
podcatchers or whatever they're called, because we appreciate it.
Dick,
We
any other
appreciate you.
stats you want to share?
No.
So is it time for the final
Vader time?
cut?
Oh, it's time for the final cut?
So normally we
Ooh.
do this segment at the end of a regular episode.
That's
and
true.
we talk about these segments in terms of the two movies. Yes, Dick, you have your hand raised.
But Kate, we already did a final cut for these two movies.
Right? So, blah, 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 blah.
You drop the bass.
It's the final cut for the first year of Celmates
Oh my God.
podcast.
That's so cool.
We're getting meta here. And we're going to do all of these segments as if our single year of podcast is two different animated. Dick, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you could shout out any scene in Cellmates podcast
Oh my God,
history,
I forgot this was
you
like
need
the
answers
first
for
thing.
this segment. I've got an answer.
Wait.
Yeah.
Because it's two movies, I want to shout out a Dick scene and a Kate scene.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do you have that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could figure it out.
Okay. Cool. So, you go first so I don't steal yours.
So, my Dick scene,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for Dick and Randy Newman to collaborate on an album of all questions more than answers about the Cars. We did an episode on Cars and Bolt, and Dick is very preoccupied with how the cars work, specifically which body parts are which,
Because the
and how
movie
their economy is
it
run.
sets a rule, and then it's like, here's a different thing, and I'm like, no,
I
but
would
you
I would
already
argue
told
that the
me.
movie doesn't totally set a rule. The movie presents some information. We get tricked into thinking it's rules. But then like the nose and the boobs are the same parts and
Yeah.
like they have money but also they are money and gas is their anyway, so you're going to make an industry musical
Yeah.
with
Ooh.
Randy Newman about the cars, explaining everything that you could need to know. And then probably
Sometimes cars have headlights that are boobs, and sometimes they're eyeballs, and sometimes they're noses.
go boob nose go. You're my friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's my Dick moment. I need to think on a Kate moment.
No.
Because I'm like part of them, right?
Part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Do you
Kate,
have
I mean,
as
I
I'm
could,
thinking about it?
I could go while you're thinking about it.
Absolutely, please do.
Am I giving? I guess I'm giving a Dick moment, or am I giving a Kate moment first?
Whatever you want.
Oh boy, that's tough. Okay, so if I'm gonna pick a Kate moment, honestly, Kate, you have been a fascinating source of information. But the Kate
so
moment,
pleased.
the Kate moment I'm going to pick is actually before this podcast even happened. The Kate moment is when I graduated from coding boot camp, got super drunk. I came home. I don't remember my trip home. We live in New York. I took the subway. I didn't drive. Just a disclaimer. I don't really remember my trip home, but I know I made it. I know I ate 3 bags of M&Ms on the way. And when I got home, you were there with a big old hamburger covered in eggs and hash browns.
That's correct.
And you were like, we're going to watch The Good Dinosaur now. So thank you for that moment.
It was important.
Because that was important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got a moment. I was just scanning through our old episodes.
Ooh.
So this is an interesting. So my moment that I'm going to shout out is when you let me talk for 5 minutes straight about how much I hated Titan AE because I just needed to vent all at one time. You had been hearing it in bits and pieces over the last, literally the period of time
That's
that we
true.
watched Titan AE up until the podcast recording.
Yeah.
I hate that movie more than anything I've ever watched in my life. But also, we went very negative on that movie. And a part of what came out of that is we're like, all right, even the negative opinions we have, we want to do it either a sandwich or a flatbread with some positives. And so that's how Scene Shoutout was born.
That's true.
The segment that we're in now. Ooh. And I like that we, even for things like The Good Dinosaur, we have to say something positive.
Yeah.
So I feel like it twists my lens a little bit to be like, all right, no one sets out to make a bad movie. So what vestige, even in like just a hot mess movie like Titan AE or The Good Dinosaur, like
what is there?
what is the vestige of what they were trying
What's
to do?
salvageable in
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
And I like having that lens to it because there's always something.
Nice.
But I also love talking trash about Titan AE, so it win-win.
Nice.
Dick, do you have a self moment?
Yeah, I don't remember who this was, so I'm going to claim it. On that same episode, we decided to do, I think it was like Titan AE and Treasure Planet. Mm-hmm. And then one of us, I've decided it's me so that I can do this shout out. And if it's not, tell me off air so that you can get proper credit. But one of us, I'm going to say it was me, was like, hey, what about this Atlantis the Lost Empire movie? And that made that whole episode way better because Treasure Planet was fine.
It was the missing mushroom cut.
And Titan AE was not fine.
No.
But Atlantis was so good.
That was a win.
It was such a blast to watch. And it was so exciting to watch a movie that I hadn't seen. And we've had a couple of those, like the surprisingly good Care Bears in Wonderland or the Winnie the Pooh movie, which I need to watch again because that was so amazing. But that was a movie where I was like, oh, I haven't seen this and it's really good. Yep. So there you go.
I want to give honorable mention to the Dick moment where you thought, what did you think about I'll Make a Man Out of You before you saw the movie? What did you think that song was about?
I thought Mulan's dad was singing it to her and he was making a man out of her so that she could join the army. Right. I kind of knew what Mulan was about.
You did.
And I think that makes sense as a song.
Yeah.
But that's not what would happen.
But I just love these stories, like how I thought Zazu and Scar were the same person, because when you just listen to the song, you don't know.
Well, you do.
So anyway.
You do.
Well.
Yeah, they sound different.
Anyway, I appreciate you sharing that story, too.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Dick, do you have an MVP? And I'm going to say right now, it can't be one of us. Of Celmates podcast in the past year. And maybe this can be like, a few or like an honorable mention.
Is yours the one I think it is?
Well, I have two in mind. I have three in mind.
Is one of yours before 1 AD?
What?
Okay, I'll say it. Brenda Chapman?
Yeah,
BC. Brenda Chapman is
Brenda Chapman.
She's like this secret sauce that made so many movies really good, and we didn't even know.
Yeah.
She directed Prince of Egypt.
She directed Prince of Egypt.
She did
story supervisor on Beauty and the Beast, on Lion King, on Hunchback.
And she's just been involved in so many of our favorite movies. And Brave, much of Brave or most of Brave she was involved in. And she just puts a certain touch on movies that I think is missing when she's not there. Mm-hmm. So Brenda Chapman is my MVP of this year. Special secondary shout out, of course, to Tone Loc.
That's a good one.
Who sang an amazing song in Fern Gully, a song which starts in one spot, circles around, like he literally walks around in a circle, ends up back at the same spot.
Yeah.
Nothing comes of it there is no consequence, but
It's
Jimmy Buffett wrote a song for Tone Loc.
and it's the best musical moment in Fern Gully, I think.
Yeah, it might be. I just want to say it again. Jimmy Buffett wrote a song for Tone Loc, and that song is in Fern Gully.
Yes.
So, special MVP
Woof.
minor. Kate, what do you got?
So the obvious is my dear ones, Alan and
Evan
Howard.
Hansen? Oh.
Alan and Howard and Stephen Schwartz. I don't know if you've heard of him. You
You
probably
probably
never
haven't heard of him.
Yeah, just musical theater writers in general
Yeah.
have made my favorite animated movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was gonna say Brenda Chapman. I also want to give an extra shout out to all of the token consultants on non-white elements in particularly Disney movies. Whether it's and we scrapped the Aladdin episode, so we haven't technically, but whether it's the Iranian friend in Aladdin,
The single Taiwanese animator
friend in Mulan. I guess there were some multiple Polynesian, South Pacific friends in Moana, but the one friend that they're like, oh, Russell Means. We talked to Russell Means, so Pocahontas is totally legit.
No, he's totally, like, I say that to him, and he's totally cool. Like, no,
those poor artists.
Yeah.
Like, good. Like, thank you for
doing
legitimately adding some great authenticity to these movies,
more than nothing,
and bearing that responsibility, especially when it comes to, I'm sure, the criticism they all received from their own communities
right?
Of like, are you serious? You're advocating for this? So.
And
that's a lot. That's a lot of emotional
Russell
labor.
Means received a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
Right. But then you look at how Native Americans
Peter Pan. You're like,
it's like, oh,
I guess Pocahontas
okay,
is
Pocahontas
better.
is a big step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to our listener and my friend Rachel Vickers, who it was the first person to give us. Oh, sorry, we have a lot of friends.
Boy,
anyone who's given us a shot. I want to start this over.
Wait,
Rachel,
Serena,
Rachel
the first one?
No, she was not the first one, but the most prolific.
Okay, these are the thank yous. These are not MVPs at this point. You're going off
the
the
fans.
rails. The fans. You're the fifth member of Spinal Tap.
The suggesters. No, Serena has given us suggestions. Britt, our new friend Kelly. But yeah, Rachel sent an email of 35 different pairings and a lot of just I'm using the word off-brand in quotes, but not Disney, Pixar, Ghibli.
Yeah.
And it brought us Care Bear's Adventure in Wonderland, a movie we never would have looked at otherwise. Yeah. So thank you for your suggestions. Yeah. Honestly, MVPs, because we only have so many original ideas and then we run out.
Thank you in advance for rating and reviewing our podcast on your favorite podcast listening device or program.
That's correct.
Yep.
All right.
Kate, what else we got?
Well, we've got crossover.
Ooh.
Which, if we were going to how do we phrase this before?
Well, if there's take two movies that are paired with something else
from the past year
that you would like to put together, possibly in a future episode.
Yeah. Do you have one ready?
Yeah, I can go. I would like to go more in depth into the making of on both of these, but I think it would be fun to do an island adventure, stick with a Hawaiian Polynesian thing, and do Moana with Lilo and Stitch. I loved pairing Lilo and Stitch with Iron Giant, but I would love, I think the focus in that was more on the Iron Giant and on Stitch than it was on the family, which we talked about, but the culture and stuff didn't come up quite as much. But I think in talking about it with Moana, I think it'd be interesting to compare how they presented Hawaiian, specifically Hawaiian culture in that time at its present, and how in Moana they represented Polynesian culture in general in the past and the different researches and stuff they did.
Yeah.
Also, family.
Yeah. Means nobody gets left behind.
True.
Or forgotten.
What do you got?
It's pretty easy, low-hanging fruit, but Good Dinosaur Lion King would be interesting because Good Dinosaur, anything that's good about it, they stole from, well, Brother Bear.
Apparently.
Or The Lion King. But it ends up in a very different outcome, and it's just fascinating to me that you can have so many elements that in a different execution line up to perhaps make one of the greatest movies of all time. Yeah. And then in another movie, it just falls on its face. Like, what?
Yeah.
And again, low-hanging fruit, because we've already kind of talked about it.
I kind of want to do Brother Bear and Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, I think that would also be an interesting
just
episode.
So much that's the same.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And Brother Bear is a lot better. You wouldn't think so, but it is.
Surprisingly decent. Cool.
All right.
I guess that's it.
Dick.
Oh, Kate.
It's time for the final. Cut.
Kate.
Cellmates.
Celmates podcast.
Season 1.
Season 1. Do you? Re-release it as is. Do a special edition. Or throw it in the vault, never to be heard from again.
I hope not. Third. No, the special edition sounds most correct. As you said, our first couple episodes were slightly different format, different audio equipment. And I just feel like we've gotten better at figuring out those intersection points that are fun to talk about. We've gotten a little bit less like, here are the movies, robot, and gotten a little bit freer and like
do a lot of robot voice in the first episodes.
Just telling personal stories, because I feel like anyone can look up these movies on any given internet site, but it's that personal connection and like remembering the little things. So yeah, I think I would special edition it with a little bit of touch up here and there, but also, Dick, look at where we were. Look at where we started. Look at where we are. I haven't listened to Hamilton in a long enough time. Anyway.
Just dropping a lot of Hamilton today.
But not really, because that wasn't well executed.
No.
More Good Dinosaur than The Lion King. Yeah. Dick, what do you do to Cellmates podcast season 1?
Oh, special edition.
All right.
When I listen back to it, it's weird because I hear my voice and then there's this other voice. And so I'd get rid of that. I'd like edit that one out.
Very funny.
Thank you. No, re-release. I love it. I'm really happy with the episodes that we have. I really enjoy that we have some really rough ones at the beginning. Like it's nice because I feel like you can see growth. We're not polished now. We definitely weren't polished then, but we keep trying to get a little better. Think of some cooler pairs. Think of more ways to talk about movies, and I love seeing that. So yeah.
Well, I guess onward to season 2.
Yeah. Kate? Are there any movies? We're not going to give away any pairings, but let's talk about some of the movies that we're looking forward to in season 2.
Let's popcorn out. Yeah. Frozen.
Let's go movie to movie. Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Neighbor Totoro.
Ooh. Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, Pinocchio. Son of Bigfoot.
Yeah. So
That's
lots
a
of
movie.
great titles to look forward to.
Classic titles that everyone's heard of with great production value.
Ooh, it's going to be a fun one, everyone. And we're also, so as always, we're looking for pairings from you.
Yeah, we've got some stuff planned out, but please, like if we get a fan suggestion in, that jumps to the top of the charts.
It really does.
Because we're always excited to see what other people want to push together.
We know what's inside our heads, but we want to know what's inside yours.
Yeah. Probably brains.
Or if you have like a single movie that you want us to talk about and don't really have an idea for a pairing, we'll do the research. We'll look into it.
Or if you're like, hey, you should do all of the Land Before Time movies, then we'll do them.
Gosh.
No one has written in about that yet, but
Not yet.
One day, Kate.
That's a sign.
One day.
That's a sign that no one wants that
There's
content.
going to be a petition.
But we're looking at other things too. We might even,
Yeah, we've got a couple of like...
break format every once in a while and just talk about things.
Just talk about different stuff.
Different things.
Ooh.
Hope that's vague enough for you. But if you do have suggestions, if you do have opinions on that Land Before Time series, mostly the opinion that we should not do it would be preferred. Dick, where can people find us?
Well, Kate, they can find us at Celmates Podcast on Twitter, Celmates Podcast on Facebook, CelmatesPodcast.com on .com, Celmates Podcast at gmail.com.
That's correct.
And if you search Celmates Podcast on YouTube, you'll find us. I think you need like 500 subscribers or something to be youtube.com/Celmates Podcast. So
subscribe.
I guess.
We'll be partway there.
Yeah.
But really, thank you for listening. And
Yeah.
thank you for being engaged in whatever way you are, because we appreciate that we're not the only two people who are enjoying these conversations.
Absolutely. And Kate, I didn't talk to you about this beforehand. Do you want to give them, our listeners, like a quick little hint of what movies we'll be doing next episode? Like, I don't want to say the titles, but I want to give like a little hint just to see if anyone can guess.
So I know what we have in our spreadsheet, but we've also had off-spreadsheet conversations. So I'd rather you give the hint.
Okay.
Because I don't actually know what our next episode is officially.
Oh, really? Oh, so I think that it is a building full of spook 'em ups.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Thank you.
And it's not even Mouse Month. It's like a different month now.
It's like it's like it's Rocktober, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So
And,
we'll get to Rockadoodle at
it's
long
also
last.
also shout out to my biweekly paycheck earners. Depending on your pay schedule, for me, I get paid on every other Thursday, and October is a 3 paycheck month.
Boom.
So just shout out to anyone that's also getting 3 paychecks this month and very excited about it.
3 paycheck House of Mystery Month.
House.
Building. Of Mystery Month.
Building of spook 'em ups.
I think Anyway, for
Spook 'em
Cellmates
ups
Podcast.
is way more accurate. Hey, for Cellmates Podcast, I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips.
I'm Dick Ward.
Kate Phillips.
Okay, bye. We like you. You're my friend.
Bye. The Lion King is a movie. It's got lions, other animals.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all there. It's the circle of life.